To use or not to use 7.1 surround sound audio in a game like Counter-Strike or another first-person shooter, well, if you're going to use 7.1 surround sound on any other headset besides the HyperX Cloud 2, maybe it would be better. However, using the HyperX Cloud 2s for approximately 3 or 4 years, I've come to realize the 7.1 surround sound just doesn't work. I mean, it works, yes, but it falsifies information within your ears. So instead of being able to pinpoint exactly where somebody is, it puts the audio in, like, if somebody's at the front left, it'll put a little bit of audio of the footsteps or something, in the back left ear so that you can kind of get a little bit of a sense of surround. All that ended up doing is just confusing me on where the hell somebody was. And I've used this thing for circa 3 years now. I just don't think that it works properly. I like 7.1 surround sound audio. I do. I think that it's something that should work in theory, something that I'd like to try, like Dolby Atmos 7.1 surround sound with a stereo headset, but for some reason I can't get the Microsoft Windows Store. And I can't recommend using the Microsoft Windows Store and getting Dolby Atmos, but I hear it's better. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of thinking and trial and error. I've tried the Sound Blaster. I think it was the Sound Blaster Z sound card, and I didn't like it. I tried the Audio-Technica gaming headset with it, and both of them just lacked just a lot of what I wanted. I wanted the audio experience of being able to listen to music at high quality. Neither of them gave it to me. Not only was the Sound Blaster Z just a freaking waste of money and time, but the Audio-Technica just wasn't up to par of what I thought the Audio-Technica would be able to accomplish. The HyperX Cloud 2 headset that I'm currently using is my daily driver. It just works so much better than any other headset I've ever had or ever tried. It gives you audio clarity, it boosts the right frequencies. The only problem with it is the 7.1 surround sound just doesn't work. Now, if I want to tell you about the Audio-Technica headset with the Sound Blaster Z sound card, then I need to go and talk about how I use them, so you can understand a little bit of what I'm saying. First, the sound card, I plugged it into the computer, and I used every available headset to test it out. Its drivers were so bad. The software was terrible, and I just did not like the sound card. Nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. I liked nothing. It had this horribly stupid red LED that just clashed completely with my all-white PC. And, a problem that immediately jumps out is just, it did all the wrong things. It boosted the sound to an unreasonable level. And I don't know what it was, but any headset I plugged into it, it just made gunshots like needles in my eardrums. And with the Audio-Technica worked better without the sound card. And I gotta give it that. It was a good headset for what the money, how much money I spent on it to get it used. It was only $164 used, but the headset itself, a $300 retail price, $300, just, God, it's just not worth it. It's not. Even getting it used for $140 something or $164, I still felt like I was getting ripped off. The headset, it did not have sound clarity at all. Everything sounded super muffled. Not to the extent that you would think. And let me remind you, I tried it in all orientations, with sound card, without sound card. I tried it on the front audio ports, as well as the back. The motherboard that I have built into my computer is 115 decibels signal to noise ratio. And what else can I say about it? But it just, my motherboard's built for audio quality. At least it's okay, it's good enough. I didn't have a DAC and amp, but that's what the sound card was supposed to accomplish. And it didn't do a very good job at all. Sound Blaster Z, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend anybody to buy that card. Nor do I recommend anybody to buy the Audio-Technica gaming headset. They both just lack everything you would need. If you're going to buy any headset, any gaming headset, anytime soon, I can only recommend the HyperX Cloud 2s or anything from the HyperX Cloud brand. Of course, I haven't tried every headset, so I can't speak for all of them, but I'm a HyperX fan. I mean, I'm using a Zowie EC2A, a HyperX keyboard with silver key switches, and a HyperX Cloud 2 headset. I'm pretty much a HyperX Cloud or HyperX fanboy at this point, but I just like their products. I've never had one of their products fail me, and all the products seem to be just of the highest freaking quality. And this Zowie mouse, man, you gotta give credit to the Zowie mouse. It's done a hell of a good job. I'm not exactly sure if the Zowie mouse is the same as the HyperX. I'm not freaking sure at all, but anyways, they're all red, and I guess that's what my brain automatically attributed it to. I just gotta say, man, there's not many programs out there. There's not many headsets out there that you can just try, because they're either too expensive or they just need something else to run the headset. Like if you buy a freaking 600 ohm resistance headset, then you have to buy a DAC and an amp for it just so you can actually run the headset and power it properly. Of course, it's supposed to sound great. However, $500 for a headset or $600 for a headset, and then another $200-300 for a DAC and amp just to run the headset. It's just, it starts getting ridiculous. Of course, I want audio fidelity. I want to be able to hear somebody clear. I don't want to have my eardrums bleeding just, during anything else or anything like that. And I heard a lot of good things about open back headsets. A lot of bad things, well. But one of the best things I heard about an Audio-Technica headset was the open back. It gave real natural sounds, and it sounded great. However, dude, I did not have that experience. I've tried many different types of headsets. I've tried SteelSeries, I've tried Logitech. All of them fell just flat on their face, compared to, let me tell you what my comparing is, right? I'm comparing their price to their performance to the price and performance of the HyperX Cloud 2, because that's my standard at this point. This headset is just such a good baseline to compare every other headset. It's a great headset for gaming. It's cheap, or affordable, and I mean, for God's sakes, man, it freaking works. The proof is in the pudding. If you can get your hands on one of these headsets, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, even without the USB dongle turned to 7.1 surround sound, it sounds great. And the USB dongle that comes with it, or the individual USB soundboard, which is considered, I guess, a DAC and amp. I'm not exactly sure. I believe it's an external sound card, USB sound card. I mean, it sounds great, How can I describe this? When you use the HyperX Cloud 2 headsets versus other headsets, it way outperforms their price range of other headsets. It should be worth more money than it is, and I think every single last bit of its success is just in the programming, because everything else is just standard 50mm neodymium magnet drivers, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked all this up specifically. It's it's actually very difficult to find what a specific product has on Amazon when you look it up. You go into the specifications, and a lot of it's just some mumbo jumbo instead of telling you, like, what's the driver size, what's this, what's that, what's the signal to noise ratio, what's the ohm resistance. Everything just jumps straight past that. You have to go to the original manufacturer to find some of that stuff. And, yeah, that's annoying. When it comes to games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, PUBG, Tarkov, games like that, you really you don't want a lot of You don't want a lot of noise, okay? You want specific noises. You want to hear gunshots a little bit quieter, footsteps really loud, or not really loud, but to where you can actually distinguish them between the gunshots. And I've heard of the scout mode that was supposed to be on the Sound Blaster Z. It's a joke. Scout mode is a joke. It doesn't work. It doesn't. I tried multiple headsets. It did not work with any of them. It just made everything garbage. Gunked up. Sounded like a tin box. You know, it cut multiple sounds out that were necessary. It just freaking sucked. Everything about that Sound Blaster Z sucked, man. I can't remember a single thing that I thought, oh, that's cool. I mean, what it did do that was a little bit interesting is it increased the gain on my microphone, which I was like, oh my god, it made my microphone better. It didn't. It made the audio completely compressed and garbage sounding like a gunked up tin can. You know, everything it did with the audio was just freaking like brute force, and none of it seemed to work together properly. One thing that I can recommend to people that want a good audio setup or something like that, look into something called Virtual Voicemeeter Banana. That can give you some equalization settings that you can set. You can, you know, play around with your microphone and stuff like that. If you want the software that comes with the Sound Blaster Z without actually buying the Sound Blaster Z, that's probably the best thing to do, man. Is to just go straight ahead and purchase yourself a freaking, or not purchase, but just download the software and the virtual audio cable, because then at least then you'll have the actual resources you need to do that kind of stuff that you would have with the sound card itself. Now, if your motherboard does have a humming or a hissing to it, I can highly recommend you just buy a separate DAC and amp. I mean, there's no reason not to. You can buy a combined gaming DAC and amp, maybe even the Sound Blaster X. Because I know I didn't like the Sound Blaster Z card. Well, most of the reason the card was absolute freaking trash was the drivers. I mean, the menu was so slow. It's like it wasn't even compatible with Windows 10. And I mean, freaking, you download the drivers and then it asks you to download like 30 other things. Like, no, I just want my sound card to work, and I want the device drivers that come with it. I don't want to download SoundCloud. I don't want to download Sound Blaster creative software, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I downloaded all of it, and I can tell you, as soon as that thing came out of my PC, all that stuff got freaking erased. Because it's garbage, all of it. And barely any of it works when the graphics card's out anyways, when the sound card is out anyways. And, I thought a sound card was necessary, you know? I always thought a sound card was something that was required by gamers if you wanted to be the top level gamer. It's not. It's really not. Motherboards today can do what, you know, a sound card used to do way back when. It's no longer necessary to have an internal sound card, I don't believe. You know, maybe the top of the line $400 sound cards work a little bit better, but I'm not about to cash out $400 just so I can hear, you know, rain a little bit clearer. You know, it's just freaking ridiculous. If I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want a better headset. You know, I want one that's a little bit more comfortable. I want one that has a little bit more breathability. I want one that's open back. Or I want the complete opposite of that. I want one that's not breathable. I want one that is closed off and cancels all noise. Because, freaking, dude, it gets noisy sometimes, you know? With rain outside or something like that. And it can really distract you from gameplay. Open back headsets do have a real problem. You can hear everything. One problem that you'll find if you wear a headset for an extremely long period of time, you start to stutter over your own words. If you can't hear your voice when you're talking with your headset on, and it's really good at noise canceling, you'll kind of lose your ability to speak properly. And it's not a bad thing. Take the headset off and speak for a couple of minutes, maybe an hour, to somebody, and you'll start to get that back. It's not a big deal. But when you wear a headset for a really freaking long time, you'll start to lose your ability to formulate speech in a verbose manner. You know, your vernacular gets derived down to a small freaking subsection of like duh and good. I've had it happen. I remember it was can't remember, it was like Logitech or something. It was a headset, it was completely noise canceling. And it really messed with you because you couldn't hear your own voice. There was no reverb in your voice. Or there was no reverb sent back to you of your voice. So it really messed with you. It's important to be able to hear yourself talk about it a lot of the time. What's up with Modern Warfare, dude? What is up with that game? Why in the hell is that game constantly getting like 400 gigabyte updates? Can somebody please answer me on that? Why is it when we finally get something to modify what we want to install, why the hell is Warzone required? One of the largest things to update. A game mode that I don't personally even freaking play, but it's required. Why isn't the campaign required first, then multiplayer, you know? Like, why can't the base game be required? And then everything else is a choice. Like, if I want multiplayer, then I get multiplayer. Like, you should always be able to play campaign. Always. It shouldn't be a question of if. It should only be a manner of when. Right? When you want to play that game, you can play that game. I purchased Modern Warfare. And am yet to play it. You know, I'm yet to play the actual freaking game, dude. Because I'm always updating. Always. And I don't have very fast internet. It's prevalent by the fact that I barely upload videos. But just, you know, like, what am I supposed to do? You know? I just have to wait it out, I guess. Hope that it ends eventually and I'm able to actually play the game, maybe. Maybe I'll actually be able to set a class or play the game or throw a grenade, maybe too. Die a couple times, rage quit. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, God. Modern Warfare is just, it's such a good game, but also one of the worst. You know? I think it's taken the Battle Royale genre to the farthest points it's ever gone, and then like took 30 steps back. On everything I've watched of it, and I have played the game, but not on my computer. You know, I've played it on other people's computers, and I've played a little bit of Warzone. When it comes to Warzone, man, like, everyone's on a building. Everyone's on a building. If they're not on the building, they're inside the building. If they're not inside the building, then they're floating above the building, waiting to kill somebody that's on the building. I barely run into anybody that's, like, not on a building, you know? And in PUBG, there's this small map I freaking hate. And it's one that destroys buildings. You know, it's got this yellow zone that comes down with rockets or missiles or whatever and blows up the buildings to get campers out. But all it really accomplishes is ruining people's day because that takes away cover, and cover is something that's very important. If that shows up in the middle of like the final ring, it ruins the gameplay. And I can understand the thought process behind it, but you know, at some point during the game, why don't you just destroy all the buildings? Why do you even have buildings in the first place? Why don't you just place gear like around the area? You know, instead of making it dedicated buildings, make it just shipping containers, boxes, and loot caches that are spread around the entire thing. I get it, building gameplay is pretty fun, but you've never explored the option. You know, you've never thought about maybe having something like that. I mean, I specifically like PUBG for its gameplay, its movement, its gunplay is great, its movement is great, it's fantastic, because you can create a skill gap in a game with proper movement, proper gunplay, and proper nades. You know, that's what defines a skill gap. How far can the individual player take it to? At what level is the player able to achieve perfect movement, perfect gunplay, perfect strafing, you know, everything like that? And I guess strafing's in movement, but you get a little bit what I mean, you know? Like, it has everything it needs to be great, but it just doesn't go the extra mile to be great, because all the maps it makes are just building bays, you know? And the only deathmatch servers you can play are community based, I believe. I just feel like it falls so short of great and ends up being mediocre. I love the original map. I think it's great. The trees are spaced properly, the hills are nice, but every map after that's just been garbage. I mean, I haven't played a lot of PUBG, so that's kind of rich coming from me. But when I play the map, like the desert map, Miramar, everything's line of sight. You can always see almost everyone else unless they're on a mountain. So most of the time you're going to get killed from the mountain. You know, there should be hills, yes, to stop line of sight, but there shouldn't be these absolutely massive mountains all over the place. You know, the entirety of the desert shouldn't be a mountain, and then a mountain over here, and then a mountain over there. It should be valleys, yes. It should be hills, yes, to stop line of sight, to stop directly driving through it. Rocks going up that you can't jump up is a good way to keep players from going too high and getting that huge advantage over other players. But when they're able to get that height advantage up on a mountain like that so early in the game, and you have to run down in the valley because you don't have a car or something, or you have to get into the ring, you're just asking for death at that point. But I mean, I'm no expert at PUBG. You know, I've played 2,000 hours, almost 3,000 hours of Counter-Strike. You know, I've played a lot of Tarkov. I've played a lot of other games. And all the games I've played, I gotta say, man, freaking Tarkov's stressful. You know, it's one of the most stressful games that you'll be able to play at this date and time. Because if you die, you lose all your loot. You have to re-gear. If you win, you've just killed or wiped almost a freaking entire team of players. If you get that super duper freaking juicy thick lord that comes into the place and you one tap them, you're most likely going to get killed by the third, the fourth, or just some random scab that pops out of nowhere and decides that his shotgun looks pretty good right now to your head. Nothing ever really works out in that game the way you want it to. You know, you could kill the entire lobby and then just not be able to extract because the scabs broke both your legs and you ran out of painkillers. So late into the game, I've had waves of scabs spawn. I'm unrealistically, specifically on interchange, I believe interchange needs to be worked for like the timing and everything else like that, because I played on that map. I killed everything in the lobby. I mean, literally everything. I had 4 60-round magazines, and that HK was it was hot to trot, baby. I'm going through. I'm just checking every corner with my hammer sight. You know, I'm just checking everything, and I'm killing every scab, and I'm popping painkillers. They black this leg. Pop a painkiller, start shooting, kill them all, start limping, and then I have to pop another painkiller, and then I wipe another wave of scabs, and then another wave of scabs. I'm not looting them, I'm trying to get to the exit, but as I'm crossing the store to get to my exit, it's just scab, 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 scab. I killed, I think it was 14 to 15 scabs on the way to the exit. I think I ended up with 23 kills that game, which is, it's just insane, because it's not like I was in there and like the entire map was quiet until like the last minute, and the last minute is when everything spawned. Everyone came out of hiding. There's just not enough time on interchange to fully go through the map. It's just, oh my god, there's so many games that I love dearly. They're so close to my heart that I just can't enjoy because of my negative outlook on that game from past or previous experiences that have just ruined any semblance of wanting to play it again. You know, I mean, I'll go back to it eventually because I'm a freak and that's what I like to do. I like to get freaky in the games, you know what I mean? But in the end, it's an if then what or but statement. I don't freaking know. I don't really know. If we want to get back to the audio thing, there are some really cool, unique options for audio that you can do inside of Windows itself. If you go down to the bottom right of your screen on your desktop, you'll see the little speaker icon. If you right click on it and go to, let me check real quick. Yeah, it's Spatial Sounds. And click on Windows Sonic for headphones. That creates a little bit of an echo chamber, but it's still unique enough to work for anybody's, tin cans. A game that's really fun is The Witcher Wild Hunt. It's a very, very fun game. And of course, I've got a problem with it as well, just like every freaking game I've ever played in my entire life. Unturned, got a big problem with that game. I used to love Unturned. I really did. I used to adore that game. It was one of my favorite games. When I was a kid, of course. I tried going back to it recently, and there is like no survival lobby that's not Tarkov based. Like every server has become a Tarkov server, where they try to like recreate Tarkov, and it's garbage. It's absolute trash. I miss being able to run around, pick up items, and then fight other players in the survival game itself. Build a little base, shoot from it, be a little roof camper. That was my childhood, I loved pwning noobs. The game is just ruined. I cannot find a survival server. Maybe it's my internet, maybe it's where I live, maybe there's no servers in my area, or maybe they really have just turned all the servers into freaking Escape from Tarkov servers to pull in that money. So you have to buy packs and stuff like that. I remember Panda Hut. Panda Hut was always the shit. That Panda Hut was always the best for freaking being able to buy guns with in-game currency that you got from selling in-game items that you find in the wilderness, and just sell them into the store, and they'll give you currency. You can buy stuff like a railgun and 8x scope or 16 or whatever. And I used to use that all the time, dude. I'd freaking snipe people that go to the middle island on PCI or PI, whatever. That was, oh my god, that was the best, dude. People always used to go there, and I'd just sit there and spend hours and hours sniping them from afar with the Honey Badger as my secondary, just waiting for some asshole's footstep to come into my earballs. I would flick so hard and just destroy those kiddos. The Witcher Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Good game. Really good game. Beautiful. They put a lot of time and effort into it. The story is amazing. The storytelling is amazing. The visuals are great. Everything about it just seems to be absolutely freaking stupendous. But the only thing it lacks is combat. Combat sucks. The combat is absolute freaking trash. All you have to do to win any fight in that game is to just press left alt and then left click. Left alt, left click, left alt, left click. That's it. I mean, that's literally it. If you try anything else, it'll probably fail. To heal, there's no consistent way to heal. You can use the little red bottle thing and pop that, but you only get 3, and you got to use dwarven spirits or any type of alcohol in your inventory to replenish it, which is just a joke. I mean, the combat system is not terrible. It's not terrible. It works for what it is. And when you're fighting a group of enemies, you can't just alt and then left click. I mean, you can, and then just use your Q ability or whatever, your fire ability, just keep them back, and then they just stand still and you can swing on them. But specifically speaking, the combat system is kind of freaking stupid in that game. With mods, it can probably be a great, better, I don't know. Skyrim is one of those games that, if you're playing its vanilla is kind of derpy, but with mods the game is fantastic. I personally don't like how freaking difficult it is to just have to download mods into Special Edition of Skyrim. I bought it because I was like, oh, Special Edition is gonna be so much better, I can't wait. And I bought it, and it's just like, yeah, you can use the store for like 2 mods, and that's it. I got the crab. That was pretty cool though. Getting the crab was nice. Getting some of the armor too. That was pretty nice. The light, heavy armor thing. Looked cool. Was pretty nice. The quest in Skyrim they're probably what sets it apart from a lot of other games, because you can just do side quests the entire time. That's like the game. You know, the game is side quest central. The main storyline, nobody actually gives a shit about it. Nobody cares about being the Dragonborn and saving whatever or something. It's all about the side quest, going and helping some dickhead over in the forest that got lost and now he needs to find his puppy. You know, finding a talking puppy and saving it from the deathly hands of some stupid blacksmith or whatever. You know, I'm generalizing here, not trying to spoil any of the game. Of course, if you haven't played it on the multiple different platforms, literally everyone under the sun, then I think you've probably been living under a rock for the past 30 years. Bethesda games always have a sweet spot in my heart. When they released Fallout 76, oh boy, now that was some tomfudgery, dude. That was some poopy butts. That game was ass poopy face butt cream in my mouth. You know, I did play the demo when they released the free demo for people to download and play. I played it. It was absolute freaking trash. The X and Y axis on the mouse was different speeds, so you couldn't properly aim since it was just a really, really, really shitty Xbox port. And the game itself had more bugs than a Christmas tree that you just got from some random forest. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, they apparently patched it later. How do we keep letting companies just freaking dish out this ass garbage? And we keep buying it. Who do we hold responsible for that kind of stuff? If us as the consumer, the only voice we have is just not buying a product. And I mean, I'll be damned if I'm not going to buy some garbage game that I think looks cool. It's hard to keep your money in your wallet when something fancy and new comes out. It really is. About just as hard as it is to not eat a second Snickers bar when you're staring at it for 2 hours. You know, it's difficult. Everyone talks about the game, says how bad it is, and says you shouldn't get it, and says the game itself is garbage. I mean, in the end, dude, you're still gonna buy it. You're still gonna play it. It's still a good game, eventually. I mean, it's still a game, which, I mean, when you don't have a lot of new releases releasing at any given point, it's your only option sometimes. This is just buy a new garbage title and just play it. Even if it is Fallout 76. Even if it is, you know, when, what's its face came out, the game that they actually fixed and did a hell of a good job on, No Man's Sky. That's it. I mean, you'll buy these games and you'll think they're trash, and maybe they get better, maybe they do. The majority of the time they don't. They're just cash grabs, early access cash grabs. That's not a gamble I want to take. You know, that's not a gamble we should take, but we do way too often. If you look at what you do on a day-to-day basis, you can just, everything in life is a gamble, man. Everything you do. If you pick up a soda, it's a gamble whether or not you pick up a water. If you pick up a water, it's a gamble if you don't pick up a soda. If you don't want to pick up a soda or something like that. If you pick up a Snickers bar, it's a gamble whether or not you pick up that or an apple. Even if they're both side by side each and every single time, it's a gamble which one you're going to take. For personal health or in real life, like if you have two cars, it's a gamble which one you're going to take. And it's a gamble if that car is actually going to work properly, if you bought a second hand. We are a nation of gamblers. We are all super addicted to gambling. Even not in the literal sense of spending money and watching it go down the drain, but spending more to hope that you don't lose everything. Even if it's just gambling with your health, gambling with your life, gambling with your eyeballs, playing games all day, every single day for 20, 30 years. It does something to you, you know, it does something to your eyes, it does something to your ears. How loud are you listening to the music? How long are you staring at the screen? How bright is the screen? How much is the gamba? Freaking it does something to you, you know? And you're gambling with your life by sitting there at that computer for so freaking long without stretching your legs or being able to move your body. You form blood clots and stuff like that, which is not something people want to hear. I mean, but you all know it. You all know it. Deep down, you know exactly what's going to happen, but you still do it anyways. I mean, I do it. I do it still. It's more fun than the alternative. It's a good time waster. It's better than sitting at home doing literally nothing. I'd rather be sitting at home watching a screen do nothing than stare at a wall doing nothing. At least the screen flickers now and then. You freaking... I watch a lot of Game Grumps. I do. I love them. I love Aaron and Dan. I think they're probably one of the best comedy duos on YouTube that I've ever seen in my entire life. Key and Peele make great skits, but those guys are naturally gifted comedians when it comes to being able to talk to each other. Now, saying that they're naturally gifted comedians takes a lot away from them. Instead of saying naturally gifted comedians, I should have said they've worked very hard to get where they are and they deserve everything they have, which is true. They've worked extraordinarily hard. If you look at some of the original content, everything was more natural, but you can tell they at least did one or two takes on some of the things they did to at least get the content to the level that they wanted the content to be at. Now, every joke that was displayed was usually unique in its manner and had some sort of formula to it, but it wasn't very specific. A lot of everything they did was so natural that it was just amazing. No. And so when I watched Dan and Aaron today, you know, they're so much more calculated, it seems. I mean, it seems like they're more calculated. Of course, maybe it's just my brain playing tricks on me. Because, I mean, for God's sake, man, if I knew what was going on behind the scenes, then I'd be able to give you a detailed explanation of what the hell's going on there. But from what I can see, you know, I think they're just doing it all randomly, and they're just really good at keeping up the comedic act. You know, they're searching for jokes. They are. They're looking for content. They're looking for something to say next, and they're stumped a lot of the time when somebody says something so outrageous that they've never heard before. Which leads me to believe that, yes, they are indeed constantly looking up. Well, not looking up. I apologize. Looking for jokes in their own minds. You know, looking for something to talk about, something that's going to be great, something that's going to be funny. Which... you gotta give them a lot of props, man. You gotta give them a lot of props. They do all that off the top of their heads. And then some of the things, yes, aren't off the top of their heads, but still, man. That's some crazy shite. I wish I could be half the comedian they were. I love to be funny. I'm funny in my own right. I've met some people that I thought, wow, that guy's really dumb. And then they just come out of left field knowing some strange, odd fact that I never knew. Does that make them intelligent? And I know dumb people do exist. You could categorize me in that sort of area of expertise. But I've met some truly dumb individuals. You know, I've met some people that I thought, wow, that guy really has no idea what he's talking about, doesn't know what he's doing, and really just doesn't want to be here right now. Even with the definition of intelligence, I don't think I'd ever be able to fully understand or grasp it. Even if it was the most simple explanation possible, because, man, there's just so much dang crap on this earth that you'll never be able to fully experience. It drives me nuts. It really does. True audio fidelity. Nah, I'll never experience that. I mean, never say never, but still. Yeah, I probably won't in my lifetime, at least. And, being rich. You know, that's something I might not ever experience. How would it feel to have so much money that I could buy anything I wanted or sell anything I wanted and make a profit or whatever? I don't care. I don't really want money. I don't really care about it. You know, everyone wants money, at least some way, shape, or form, to be able to buy or purchase something that they would need or require to live. I don't I don't really know. What What is that, you know? If we want to talk about, like, games, you know, being able to hear somebody else, you always want the game to be a little bit louder. Of course, when you turn it up louder, gunshots and explosions will pierce your eardrums. The only way to properly get those things to not blow out your eardrums is something called audio equalization, which is something you can do with equalization AOQ, I believe. AOC? I don't know. I don't remember exactly. Let me look here on my APO. Equalizer APO. That or virtual audio banana. Virtual banana, whatever. And audio equalization is something that they do. They tune at the factory where they make your stuff. You know, that's what they do. They tune it into the soundboard or the board on your, like in the HyperX case, my little external soundboard here, my HyperX virtual audio 7.1 surround sound dongle USB. They program the equalization into that thing. You know, this acts as an audio DAC and amplifier, I believe, or just maybe an audio DAC. Fudge, dude. You freaking don't quote me on crap, dude. I'm retarded half the time. Anyways, audio goes from digital from the USB output into the audio dingy and then turns into analog. And the analog signal is then able to have a wider frequency range that plays on your drivers. Your drivers being the neodymium magnet or the magnet that's inside of your headset that's, you know, vibrates. When it vibrates, it creates noise. When it vibrates against maybe a soft plastic or something, I'm not sure. I think it's just a little bit of vibration, really. I think, you know, what's interesting is microphone is basically it's just something that vibrates that can pick up your voice, like your vocal waves, every time that you speak. It like moves a little bit to create that audio, and it sends that audio as analog into something that converts the analog signal into a digital signal. You know, it's got a power that goes inside of it and everything else like that, and it pulls it out. So if you had a magnet or a coil, and then you ran the coil over the magnet, that magnet would generate electricity through the coil, sending back information that, if you had the proper way to read it, would be audio. Because the difference in, you know, it would create like a wavelength, you know, the difference in it moving back and forward would create that audio that you would be able to hear in your earballs. It's really rudimentary way of putting it, but without going into the extremely specific local capacitor and transistors, everything else like that, and then how it would work and all go together. The rudimentary fact of it is, it's just, well, it depends on the speaker, actually. It depends on the microphone, because a condenser microphone is a little bit different than from, say, a tube microphone, or like a headset microphone. Well, a headset microphone could be a condenser microphone on a smaller scale. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I'm just going to stop this and see if I can actually upload it. If I can, cool. But I just talked for a freaking hour and got literally nowhere. So that's pretty freaking dope. Good luck, everybody. Make sure to dislike and unsubscribe from my garbage YouTube channel. Oh, I'm so cool. I'm so cool.